saucers, welcome again with us in the backyard apiary. So today we have an interesting thing we want to share with you. In one of our locations, there was a particular colony that was a little bit more defensive. The queen was raising some really spotty brood, and we didn't really take to it. It wasn't storing any nectar as opposed to everybody else in the soup was. So we figure something might have been up with this colony. It's potentially not gonna be productive or be a good performer that we would like. So we took that opportunity to just basically cull that queen from the apiary and utilize that colony, the brood, the bees and everything, to actually make some new queens. Alright, so we had colonies up there that we really like how those queens are performing. Their gentleness, their productivity, and all of that is really up there, and we really like that. So we use larvae from those queens or those colonies to put into the queenless colony and basically make some queens. So what we did now is we bring that colony down here to the home base, so we can transfer those queen cells to mating castles. So that's what we want to bring you along for. So let's go and let's show you the colony. Alright, so today we had a little bit of shower. It's overcast as well. Still have a little sun peeking out here and there. So while the sun is out, we're gonna try and make use of that pretty much and do this. And the good thing is they're gonna hatch within probably the next 4 days. And those cells are gonna hatch, so we need to remove it from this and put them in the castles. Pretty much. So we did some preliminary work in setting up the castles prior. So all the castles have a brood frame and so forth in there, and nurse bees and everything, but they might need additional food frames. So the excess frames that are in this, we're gonna take it and give the other colony, but we're gonna shake off some of the bees depending on how strong the mating castle might look. We don't want to make it too strong, so we might not give it the bees from this. Right, we're gonna merge it with this other colony. Let's show you. So remember this colony we told you we're gonna graft from as well. So today we're gonna graft from it basically. So what we're gonna do is any leftover bees, we're gonna newspaper merge these two colonies together. So all of this nurse bees and bees that's in here is gonna merge with this, and then we put another batch of graft in here when we remove those first ones. All right, so we literally moved this morning. Pretty much we just went there, taped up the front, and let me show you the top here. We have the mesh on the top, so when we're transporting them, we just tape off the front and they'll have the top open so they can get circulation of air and everything, and they don't overheat. So let's start the process. So what we're doing right now, we're just gonna move the cells out and put them into the mating castles, as well as move out some of the excess frames. All right, what you're looking at now is all the castles. Remember, castles have 3 compartments. Where you're seeing those little white color, cream color boards, those are the segments that we prepared in advance. Right, so it's 15 of them. Some of the castles here, let's see if we can give you a little walk-in preview. So all of them that has the little white board pushed to the back, these are the ones that are gonna get a queen cell. Right, hopefully we had checked prior to setting them up how many we needed, and I think we were seeing where they were capping 15 of the grafts that we did. Right, so hopefully there's still 15, and we haven't wasted our brood and stuff and effort in setting up the 15. All right, so what we do right now is, before we drop in the queen cells, is we have to go into all of these castles and we have to break down all of the emergency cells that they're making. Right, so we gave these castles basically, as most of them have like a single frame of brood in there. Some of them might have 2 frames in there depending on what we had at the time. All right, so let's give you a little preview. So there you go. So this has basically one frame of brood and then a frame that was initially in the castle that they were building a little bit of comb on. We're gonna leave that in there, but this is gonna get a food frame. All right, the population of bees in there as well isn't too bad. You don't want it to be overcrowded in these castles, because once the queen, if the queen gets mated, they're gonna really outgrow the castle very quickly. So we try to keep it at a relatively decent population where they're covering the frames. You see, bees are covering the frames effectively, yeah, and these are capped frame of brood. So these capped frames, these brood will hatch out very soon, probably around the time when the queen should be mated, you know. So this population is going to grow very fast. Now one thing though we want to do is give it a little bit more food, you know. The food that's in there right now isn't high, you know. They have a little bit around the brood section, but once these nurse bees start to hatch out, they're gonna need food, and we can't leave them without food, you know. They really need the food to encourage the queen to go out and get mated, from what I have experienced, you know. So what we're doing now, we're just checking to see if there's any, if they're making any emergency cells. We're not seeing any emergency cells on this so far, which is interesting. I guess no eggs were on this when we put it in there. Oh, look at this. So this is where the eggs were on this little comb. So you see, if I never checked this, I wouldn't have realized that they're making the emergency cells. So these are all emergency cells. We're not gonna utilize these are gonna be killed, because these would be coming from whichever queen we broke down pretty much to make these castles up. So we have to kill those, see if there's any around this side. So no, so that's all there is. Now typically we wait about 6 days before we try to calculate it and set these up 6 days prior to us putting in the cell in there, so that they don't, after we crush these, they don't have any other option but to take what we give them, right? So that's kind of the idea here. Now I believe it's not quite 6 days yet, so they might eventually make some more emergency cells if a larva is in there that they would want to use, you know. Sometimes they ideally choose 12-24 hour larvae, but if they have like probably a 48 hours, they might even use it. So we still have to come back. Technically what we do is whenever, see, so this have nice population as well. Typically what we do is once we know the queen has hatched, probably about a day after hatching projection, we'll come back and just make sure that we destroy any other cell that they've made up. The reason why we do that is so that they don't kill the queen, because sometimes they'll actually kill the queen, and sometimes the queen that hatches will go around and actually kill the cells that are in them. But if the cells aren't capped off as yet or reached a developed stage, sometimes they don't go around and kill, you know. Sometimes they'll actually just leave, and that's when the cells aren't developed as yet. Like if they hatch and they're still uncapped cells, they'll probably leave. That's what I've realized sometimes. I'm surprised there's not more emergency cells on this, because this one had a lot of eggs in it. But again, this one's gonna need a food frame as well, because this frame don't have much food in there. So I'm gonna take out one of the food frames from the other one and give it. Alright, so we cleaned out that of any emergency cells, so we're gonna go for the queen cell now to drop into this. Alright, so this is our graft frame. So this graft session we gave it 34 grafts. As you see on this bar, it's 2 bars, one on the top and one on the bottom. I think we lost a few out of this. That's crazy. That's not good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up top here, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we end up we lost 2. So this one right here, I don't know why they broke it down. They broke this one down here, and this one, don't know why. But yeah, so only 13. So this is what we're gonna do. Just take off one at a time, drop it back in the hive, and we scrape off these bees. You know, we don't usually put these bees in there. It might cause fighting and stuff like that. So even though I don't think it really matters, these cells are gonna hatch pretty soon. Yeah, not too bad of a size. Alright, so what we do is we basically, because this have a little triangle section here that can hook into the comb, that's what we do. We just find a nice little spot right above the brood, just hook it in. Alright, so that's one down. We're gonna go for the other one and come back. Alright, there's another one. Alright, so what we're gonna do now is just shake out the other 2 frames, food frames we want, and come give these. Alright, so this is the first food frame. As you see, usually when we do grafting, the residual frames that are left behind are usually going to be packed in with nectar and sugar syrup and all of that. So this frame we utilize in our mating castles as food frames. So this queen will hatch out, and it will have a brood frame that have varying stages of brood on it. Probably not going to have any eggs, but it's going to have cap brood and a little bit probably older stage the larvae in it. This one we're gonna go for one more food frame and drop it in. Even though this one don't need a big food frame like that one, because this didn't have much food at all in the brood frame. This one have a little bit of food, but we know that there's gonna be a lot of nurse bees hatching out, so we're gonna give this another food frame as well. Alright, so see, one of the frames in there still had some brood on it. Alright, yeah, so this one's gonna get this. So neither of these 2 hives needed any bees to strengthen it. You know, the strength population in them is already optimal. We don't need to give it any more bees to help out doing anything. You know, it's gonna get that generational bees hatching out. They still have forages and everything going to it because they housed the colony prior to me setting up the mating castle, right? So these 2 set up ready, and this piece here is to signify this is from another batch that we did. So these are new batches. This one is, there's this compartment right here has a colony in it, and the queen is mated. Basically when we're just setting them up, we put them back here. If we come and we see a queen present, we move it to the front, and once we see them mated, and if we like them in terms of how they're laying and stuff, we put it to the front, pretty much. You know, so that's kind of a little process of what I do with the castles, just to give you a glimpse of it, you know. Pretty much. So we're gonna go through and do the others, and then just merge the colony, pretty much. So we have, as you saw on the graph bar, we only had 13, 11 more to do pretty much. All right, gentle folks, so we basically finished setting up all the meeting castles. So we moved out all the cells, but the rain is not working with us. It's coming down, so we're not going to be able to do actually the grafting today. Probably we're going to have to do it in the morning and get those another batch of grafts into that cell builder there. But it's pretty much up and ready, pretty much with the amount of population and everything, right? So from the battery transfer just now, it was just 13. So you see all of them is packed in right now with the cells. They're gonna hatch about, as I said, about next 4 days. So we're not gonna stay in the rain anymore. Yeah, beekeeping, sometimes you have to just do things in rain, you know. It's not ideal, but you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Yeah, so as usual guys, just want to say thanks for tuning in. Your time was greatly appreciated. I want to encourage you to give the video a like, share with your friends, and definitely hit that subscription and notification bell so you can see when new videos come out. And peace out.